welcome to the Victoria Festival of Authors Forest Poetry event here at Mary Lake. My name is Yvonne Blomer and I'll be your co-host with Beth Kope today. So the festival would like to thank our sponsors, the BC Arts Council, Canada Council of the Arts, Capital Regional District, the City of Victoria, Access Copyright, the Victoria Foundation, and Monroe's Books. Thanks also to the League of Canadian Poets for supporting Tolu today, and Plentitude Magazine for supporting Justine's participation.
Who's supporting me?
All the rest of us.
Sorry, Joseph.
Mary Lake lies within the traditional territories of the Wisanich Coast Salish peoples. The ancestors of the Wisanich played an integral role as past stewards of the Mary Lake and Highlands lands before they were Mary Lake and the Highlands. Victoria Festival of the Authors is located on the traditional ancestral territories of the Lekwungen people, also known as the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. We acknowledge the ancestors, hereditary leaders, and matriarchs from these lands and give thanks for the privilege of living and working here. We are committed to serving as learners and listeners. The focus of this year's festival is ecology, climate, and Indigenous experiences and land back movement. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Beth Kope. Beth is the author of 3 books of poetry. Her most recent, Atlas of Roots, tackles adoption and delves into identity and story. She works and writes in Victoria on Lekwungen and Wisanich territory.
Hi, and I'd like to introduce Yvonne Blomer, my co-host, past City of Victoria Poet Laureate from 2015 to 2018, eclectic writer of essays in poetry, editor of anthologies Refugium and Sweetwater. Her memoir, Sugar Ride, has just been re-released. Her 5th book of poetry, The Last Show on Earth, was published by Caitlin Press. This year, she works as an editor and a teacher and a mentor in Victoria on Lekwungen territory with her family and their dog, Frodo. And her poem, One Blue Bowl, has been inscribed on a gorgeous granite walk at Little Ross Bay Beach, and we'll hear more of that more. About Mary Lake. Mary Lake is a nature sanctuary now, but in the past these lands were used by the Wisanich and Coast Salish people for hunting, gathering food, medicinal plants, and for spiritual practices. Elder Tom Sampson said this was a place to find one's own spirit, a sacred walk. So as we move along the lake edge and through the forest, remember that really this place is somewhere where healing and discovery can happen. And now we'd like to introduce the poets.
Joseph Dandurand. Standing right there. Joseph is a member of the Kwantlen First Nation, director of the Kwantlen Cultural Center, and respected poet. His poetry collection, The East Side of It All, Nightwood Editions, was shortlisted for the 2021 Griffin Poetry Prize. Dandurand received the 2021 BC Lieutenant Governor's Award for Literary Excellence. His recent book, The Punishment, wrangles with trauma and grief, forgiveness and love, his journey to understand his life and find ways to escape it. Please welcome Joseph Dandurand.
Justene Dion-Glowa, there she is a queer Métis creative, beadworker, and poet born in Winnipeg, and has been residing in Secwepemc. Thank you. I did try and ask you before, and I really apologize. Where they work with Indigenous youth. They are a Banff Center for Arts and Creativity alumni. Trailer Park Shakes is their first full-length poetry book. Their poems have been described as dreamlike, playful, and yet bearing witness to injustice and violence in institutions and human experiences. Please welcome Justene.
Our next poet to be introduced is Tolu Oloruntoba. Right here. Tolu lived in Nigeria and the United States before settling in Vancouver. His poetry has been nominated for the Pushcart Prize, while his debut chapbook, Manubrium, was a BP Nickel Chapbook Award finalist. The Junta of Happenstance, his first full-length collection, was the winner of the 2021 Governor General's Literary Award for English Language Poetry and the 2022 Griffin Poetry Prize. His recent book, Each One a Furnace, explores migration and transience following the behavior of birds, a chronicle of struggle within and between cultures. Please welcome Tolu.
Finally, we have Anne-Marie Turza. Anne-Marie Turza is the author of The Quiet from House of Anansi Press in 2014, which was a finalist for both the Gerald Lampert Memorial Award and, I didn't write that down. What else was it a finalist for, Anne-Marie? Oh, there you go. Thank you, Anne-Marie. She lives on Vancouver Island, and her second collection of poetry, Fugue with Bedbug, is a complex series of poems attending to time and mortality. Please welcome Anne-Marie Turza.
Yeah, so we're ready to begin the walk. Last bathroom chance. We're going to head up the road a little ways, and then we're going to draw you to the right. At each stop, so we've given the introduction to the poets here, and then at each stop we'll just introduce their order by name, and then they'll read. And I think that's it. Welcome to Mary Lake Poetry Walk, everyone. Follow us.
My mom was 5 years old when she was put on a train in Fort Langley, and she was sent to Cooper Island Residential School, but she graduated when she was 18 from St. Mary's Residential School, and that's where this poem is from. It's called St. Mary's Number 4. 1955, down by the river, putt and mutt fishing, quiet Sunday afternoon. All the chores have been finished. Catholics are in the fields searching for lovely flowers to pick, to smell, to pick. Putt hooks the first one, her little arms holding on, holding, pulling, pulling. The fish snaps up into the air and looks around, his eyes staring right at her. Little Indian girl, little fisherman, little gift from above. Her hands grasp the pole, her eyes widen. Her breath quickens. Flowers picked out of the earth, snapped at the stem. Noses sniffing the air, searching for the scent of God. All his creations, now devoured by humans. Flowers, fish, little Indians with crosses around their necks. Flowers, lovely flowers. Fish. It jumps once more and snaps the line, going down to the bottom. Down where the water is calm, it rests, swallows the fat worm, unaware of the creation, unaware. Mutt gets a nibble, the hairs on his arms stand up. Catholics singing in the fields, songs about glory and salvation. Mutt dances the worm, singing his song beneath his breath. He shuffles his feet, trying to remember his dance. Worm dances beneath the water. The salmon spots it, swims towards it. Hunger, dance, song, shuffling the bare brown feet. Fields of flowers, fields of salvation. River, water, Fish takes the worm, fields of song. Worm becomes a hook. The salmon snaps his head to the left and then to the right. Hook goes deeper. Mutt pulls, his little Indian arms pulling, his song getting louder, his feet quicken into the beat of the drum inside his head. He pulls, he sings, he shuffles his feet like the old days, like the days back home. He pulls the fish out of the water. He takes a small club-like branch and snaps the fish on top of the head twice. Fish stops. Mutt pulls the hook and what is left of the worm out of the fish's mouth, drops it back into the river. Fields of flowers, songs of glory and salvation. 2 Indian kids on the river's edge. 1955. Worms on hooks, songs, drum, paint, memories of home, silently breathing songs of glory. Thank you. I can go home now? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. Hi, everyone. I don't overly write about nature, but I did my best to find some things. Hope they work. So this is called Thistle and Thorn. Redemption's curled up, cat-like, on a path tangled over with thistle and thorn. Jutting brambles, a reminder of a lack of warmth and depth that have led to this nettle imbroglio. If the cuts get you deeply, then you're failing as a woman. If the cuts leave scars, then you're triumphant in recovery. But there's simply no way there will be no cuts. We will not inherit our thrones. We will build them. Perhaps first from thistle and thorn, and then later from gold and ether. We will sit upon them, monsters.
Because I'm lazy, I just... Hi everyone, thank you for being out here today. I'm going to read a poem called Carduelis, Behavioral Interview. I wrote it while I was unemployed. I'd been laid off and I'd been practicing behavioral interviews, trying to imagine what the employers would ask me about my past experiences. And because I'd been writing Finch poems, it sort of came together in my mind. So here goes Carduelis, Behavioral Interview. Describe your interaction with a difficult headwind. You rise against it, pinions the heart valves of a reluctant death, trashing in the drown of blue blood. Your method of staying aloft, the palm of a heavy sky on your brow. How you swam, cycled, climbed drafts that were flash flood, then viscid wax, avalanche then mudslide. Tell me of a time you had to rely on intermittent and maneuvering flight, a time you faced conflict while stargazing, twirling, flying poor, a contradiction of plumbing bobs. Describe that time. You struggled to build a burrow, to vole through tracts of sky, a tunnel that wouldn't collapse. Discuss your praxis, memory movement. If Earth were a pond with landmarks, lily pads that brought you here, for the way back, how did you bank, twirling bags of drag and locomotion? What was memorable on your trips from one cage stack and cul-de-sac to the next? We all make mistakes we wish we could take back. Haven't leached your bony calcium for eggshells. Do you wish you had held some back? Describe a time you showed leadership of your flagging apparatus, motivating your team of body and will into volant assembly. You saw a problem, you took the initiative to consist, cohere. Tell me about a time you failed. What lessons did you learn about the transactional conviviality of captive flocks? How did you learn not to mistake the dancing, the undulating flight of your flock for a party, a family? They parted for predators, and you fell, in ornithopter rain to earth. In a time you were under a lot of pressure, tell me about a time you set a goal for yourself, how you achieved it. What I really want you to tell me is how you grew your red mask once more, renewing your flight against the fall. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm just really happy to tell you that this is actually my book's debut. It's public debut. And this is obviously, I couldn't have dreamed of a better event than this, and to read in such company, and to be here in a pretty intimate setting. I'm also, a bit shy, so it's relaxing to me to some degree to think that you might be paying attention to the natural surroundings, at least as much as you're listening to this poem. I'm very lucky to have my editor, Melanie Siebert, here today. I worked very closely with her on this book, and she's a dear friend, and you just improved this book in so many ways, and I'm so glad you could be here. I'd like to dedicate this first poem to people who couldn't be here this morning, and I didn't realize that there would be a video recording. I knew there would be an audio recording, and so this is for people who might be listening to the recording or watching, and I wish you could be here with us. Fortunately, there were planets where we lived in handsome parallel to ourselves. Otherwise, I could not have toothed a further boiled egg. Our bodies were exactly thoughts clinging to the torrent grasses, supple and iridescent as plastic wrap, but perishable for no sure reason, aromatic as ellipses. Our thoughts were long and flexy penises, like those belonging here to snails. Only quick, of course, in timber. And to think we entered one another. Yes, we were right for all of it. Although we amberjacked in time, our hooves were ultra-modern lanterns for polyphonic homilies. We were used to a thundering light, a beat that tattooed broiling questions. And there were other worlds, roughly equal to a tune in town. That is, when whistling at any altitude, our lungs were so much lighter than themselves. Oh, my friends, whatever was meant by that, the breakfasts we ate in consequence. Thank you, poets. What a wonderful beginning. We're now going to follow Beth into the woods.
I'm gonna read one called Burial Rebirth. Mouth of pebbles I can't bear to spit out. They've been holding my tongue while rolling around, forcing a peace between myself and the feeling that something ain't right. That itch on your tongue, that stomach full of cicadas, there's nothing for it. I've been trying to find a proper description of their bouquet, somewhere between coffee and Eucharist wine. The smell of heartbreak and regret, an earthy wooden finish, like a coffin, soil-bound. My mouth full but still running, won't stop speaking ill of all the ills. Can't not be candid with your mouth full. Pebbles turn to manna from heaven falling into the screeching mouths of baby birds, maws waiting. Slip silent into that nest, little dove. Strip the branches, make the wood bare. Make the others yearn for your song. Have the mamas wail your tune, hit your notes and dive deep. Catch the breeze last minute, make my heart skip its beats.
Hi everyone. Congrats, Anne-Marie, on your launch today. Justene's book also launches today. So congrats. I hope you can pick up their book after this reading.
So is mine.
No way.
And I just met Lorna Crozier. I'm lost for words. I hope I can read. It is such an honor to meet you. So this second poem I'm reading from my phone because it's unpublished. So I don't know what the etiquette about reading from a phone in a reading. So this poem is called Reclaim. I am the city fallen into the sea, but there remain acolytes in me, singing in the cathedrals, voices sanded with phlegm. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. They are wrong to trust me. If I know why their world is ending, or why it began, if I know the reason or the consequence of their lives, if I know the spin direction of their dwindling cosmos, I have not told them. I have not revealed myself. Thanks.
I think this is the friendliest audience I have ever encountered. So thank you all. I'm going to ask you to imagine a multiplicity of selves, and those selves are called the awake and sleeping ye. The awake and sleeping ye prize different roses. One is breezed the able hybrid with the thorns. One eats the sound. One sprints from tree to tree on a tidal island. A fifth one wears the 13th shrug. And another, not waking and not sleeping either, is not anyone on the lee of a known dune. With nothing else to do, the awake and sleeping ye trade half a twig for you. And more rarely might they gather, rapping on the lakebed minerals with their knuckles, to signal urgent facts with hands, as divers do. Someone among them has dispatched another. They're courteous upon approach. They hold a necessary knife. Overhead, the blank feet paddle.
One year we were reading and a beaver crossed the lake, which distracted everybody. There are beaver, there are mink, there are otters even. So this is mink vignettes. In inquisition of mink, such is fearless, boldest, will follow me down, owns trail. On encounter with ruthless black, such is one slink, never flung afar from this lake, that seasonal stream, discharged dart over moss slopes, once diving frigid ocean, stub-legged, part web-footed, easy effort from green algae-wrapped boulder, once from pack sack to bag, midday summer amid teens at lake edge, so much for the wary, only hard-nosed audacity, shameless theft on mind. And off in deep brush, my dog brushing about, scent searching, suddenly crossing trail at my feet in lead, rabbit from wet brush to deep scrub, mink from wet brush to deep scrub, dog from brush to scrub, dog veers, tack back, stalled at my feet, panting.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Dripping everywhere.
It's an immersive experience.
Literally.
Yeah. In our culture, we have. I heard stories about little people, and I always associate them with. You know when you're missing that one sock? It's always they do stuff like that. This is called the Little People.
That's them.
In the cedar forest lived what we called little people. They inhabited the trees, and when our village slept, they would come in and take whatever was left outside. They would find shells and trade beads and the odd fishing knife to take home to the tops of their great cedar homes. We'd know when the little people had been to our village. We would smile and not be upset with them. We'd be upset with ourselves for leaving anything outside. And when we'd go into the forest to gather cedar, at the bottoms of certain trees, we'd sometimes come across beautiful cedar hats. We'd put the hats on and continue to gather cedar, and there beneath another tree would be one of our fishing knives, newly sharpened and left for our fishermen. When we were done gathering cedar for the year, we'd leave fresh fish heads for the little people, as we knew they loved fish head soup. In the winter some years, we would go into the forest and start a fire to boil fish heads for the little people. When we left, they all came down to sit by the warmth of the fire as they gorged themselves on fish head soup. As we went to sleep, we could hear the little voices singing songs of thanks. In the morning, we found cedar hats adorned with seashells and trade beads, and all the trinkets taken from us a long time before.
Has a request or a curiosity or a wondering, throw it at the poet. Tolu.
Read your whole book.
Nice.
All right.
Anybody have a request or a wondering, a bird?
A tree poem?
Okay. I need to think quickly now. I think the poem that I picked for stop 3 might still work. It's called Rent-Seeking, Shaft Tail. And why am I a rent-seeking individual? I hope for employment that will pay my bills and subsidize my real work, which is poetry. And it's a part of our corporate lives that within this dystopia wants to just find something that's sure. It makes us do a lot of interesting things, both ethical and unethical. Anyways, this is after the shaft tail finch.
Can you speak up, please?
Thank you. Yeah, I tend to be soft-spoken. How about now? Thank you. This poem is about how I'm a rent-seeking individual within our larger corporate sphere. Call the animal rent that I trail in the forest of cured wood the city is built on. The timber is still all here, of course, sheathed in concrete. We're in the sky. Buttoning my pinstripe jerkin, I must stay downwind, still for the cunning buck. You can't tell the hunters, elevators of notched presentations, saint-free in dawn's cloak, apart. It is not sport that drives me to this, but retirement from the hunt. I call the animal, rend it from its bedding. Give me your thud against the brush, the door I open in your chest. Give me your antlers, enterprising, rising above the water. Thanks.
Oh, little banana
Little slug.
slug.
We ask for a slug poem.
Or
There are
slow.
so many slugs in this book and
There's
snails.
one right here. Look.
Okay, I'm gonna read a poem about a slug. I think probably every third poem in this book has snails in it, and actually, the next book that I'm planning is gonna be all snails all the time. So this is just in preparation for my next project. This is called The One Snail Theory of Metaphysical Events. In the first event, I was a gray-wigged general. Across a lawn, I rode some mother's dingy bicycle. It was me and the slug, snail, and a lot of credible noise. In the second event, I did not rightly feature, but the snail was there. For sure, the snail is an animal of a taxonomic order. As much as anyone, it belongs in public murals of the highest caliber. As much as anyone, it grazes on a life expectancy. In the third event, I was myself. I was a calf also. The snail did not answer me. Took a little liberty there, I guess, turning the slug into a snail, but
Anybody have a request or anything, a theme for Justine?
I do have a poem called Spider. So, here it is. Hello, tiny friend. You are mildly creepy but harmless. You tap your spinneret, expanding your bathtub-long empire. You have knees that knurl with bulges defining the limbs. Your web is near invisible, but it bends in the middle, and that's where I can see you best. What does it feel like to wield power over such a great creature as humankind? To inspire fear at the top of the food chain? How can I take that power for my own? Tap my spinneret. Build an invisible empire. Only the naked and vulnerable will find. Too afraid to squash me, too afraid to let me live. Maybe catch me in a little cup and throw me outside, to rebuild a larger kingdom, to feast, to thrive.
I don't do requests. Bring it! Everybody's terrified of me.
No. Roots.
Roots?
Physical or metaphysical?
Wow. Okay. I would like to say thank you. I would like to say thank you to the nuns and the priests who abused me when I was 6. Thank you for doing that to me, and if you'd like to see how I am, just look out your window as I pass by, because I know where you live, old man. And to the sisters, I would like to thank you for toughening me up later in life. It was needed. And I shook off all comers, and I took the pain you gave me when you stepped on my 6-year-old brown hand and told me to be still, and that God was watching me. And when I finally confronted that old man, I slapped him across the face, and in his eyes I could see the lust he had for me those decades before. And now he weeps as the pain in his face changes. And I walk away still, that little brown boy in need of comfort. And I know that I am who I am, and to you abusers, you cannot have me. You cannot destroy me. I can do that all by myself, thank you. To the men who used me when I was 9 or 10, thank you for scarring me and giving me nightmares. as they still haunt me here at 57 in my little office, where I punch out poems to soothe the soul, where I can relive the torture of being touched by men. Thank you, and I will visit one day and go up to you, slap you, kick you, bite you, end you. The music changes, and I have some new kick-ass headphones, and I can hear all the greats, and remember times when I was 15 and drinking and doing LSD and tripping in a bar and watching a Pink Floyd cover band, and they were awesome. And the bar was lit with very cool lights, and I was tripping. And when it was over, the house lights came on, and it was then that I realized that the rest of the bar that night was full of fully patched outlaw bikers. And there I was, 15 and long hair and brown-skinned and tripping. But they let me float on out of there and into the streets, and me and my friends who were also tripping, we floated home, and as I am here now, I put on some blues and write poems about this or that. I wanted to say thank you to all the girls I knew when I was 14, and we all hung out on the weekends, and we did our best to be as drunk as we could, and there were such gentle moments. I remember being with a girl, and we made love and giggled, as those around us were so wasted, and they puked and they pissed themselves, and we still conquered our teenage years with the best of them. And even today I remember each girl's name, and I remember how we made love and how we drank until early morning. And I just want to thank them for loving me when I was 14 and so skinny and brown, and long-haired, and not even sure I liked myself back then, and I am sure I do not like me now. The edges are creepy, the hair is gone, the eyes are crooked, so is the nose. I weep myself to write a poem for all you girls, even though I know I have been forgotten.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yvonne, we have a request for you.
What?
Would you read a poem, please?
Yes, yes. Spotted Owl as Desire. After Robert Bateman's Mossy Branches, Spotted Owl.
Speak up.
Okay. True owl, old growth owl, nocturnal owl, the clock turns by you. Barking owl, whistling, hooted notes fall from mossed trees. Old man moss, night's plume moss, creeping feather moss. Nothing human here except me. Your eyes a lure, shoulder hunched owl, padded in your brown mottled cloak. What are you tracking? Fogged in owl, muffle feathered owl, patience is your domain. Bone lichen feathered, lure browed, old strix, what are you making me into?
Inside the slip minute are many kinds of darkness occurring all at once. This is true, though almost all the words are wrong. We have viewed footage from variable sleep. We scramble up a hill to our interior bodies. We are in feelings dense as fresh mushrooms. We have looked as strangers do, like a closed hospital. The slip minute has no inside, except perhaps the inside of an animal. A housefly, as it happens, has a timely inside with quick informing corners that must seem to the fly to be outside its body in the slow and geriatric world. The fly sees more, sees longer, it seems, in any instant. We send ideas around a corner. We are herbs of culture. We smell the roast infinities. Thus, a gust might be a long and sculpted era, tremulous with tattered edges. Fly darkness is the name for this, anomic blindness everywhere, only not for flies. We can say with certainty we were born in the fly darkness. In the fly darkness, we have brushed our every hair. Plants also may have darknesses in which we cannot clerk. But is it singular, the slip minute? Or does time have many retrographs, many slip minutes, one, and yet a separate other, rackable as arguments, wherein solid people move parts of our mutable faces, and plants are mysterious, yes. Or else, is it us in little pieces, like a sock drawer? We practice a woodwind embouchure we move our tongues against. It's plants we want to talk with. Time may have different dialects. Slip minute is a problem term in brouhaha vernacular. Don't blunt it with dull diagrams. Don't word another word. If plants have darknesses, is that where plants are? Are is not for anyone who hopes to think on time's fancy maths. We move our elbows forwardly. We consider the air in our varied tableau, though that isn't where the moon is, really. Plants, we now believe, have many senses, of which we have long known nothing.
Life by 1,000 bandages. After the 1,000 cuts, the one death, comes the 1,000 bandages. As we repair the house of annealing, from that primordial mound of plasters, a spark. Within, am more darn than breach, an eruption of stitches, an avalanche of thimbles as sweat. If my bandages be an amateur, and the balm a lighter fluid in weight, then from the inevitable weight a combustion comes, a stirring, a galactic implosion of cosmic night, cowering elbows flung in the shrapnel of a saving bang. I will come forth. Thanks. How's my volume?
Sound lady, did you get that? Okay. There's always laughter. Taken back in time by a great storyteller, I remember the stories as if I were in them, as all the children sat quietly and listened to the story about a small Sasquatch who grew up to be a kind soul, admired by all the other Sasquatches for being so gentle and soft-spoken. He'd almost died when a group of hunters came upon his trail and were outside the cave he had hidden in, but a wolf and a bear appeared and ate the men. When the Sasquatch came out days later, the wolf and the bear were gone, and so were the hunters. Even their bones had been taken away by small birds as the sun rose in the distance. When I go back in time, I remember my mother would make tea as I would sit and listen to her, tell me about when she was 5 and put on a train and was sent to residential school, and how she wet her bed, and the sisters made her wear her soiled sheets for the day as punishment. Mother soon learned not to tell anyone she'd wet her bed, and As the years went on, she learned to be quiet and soft-spoken, and to never tell a soul about the times the father would abuse her, which she carried into herself for decades, until she was asked for forgiveness. And they forgave her for being a child, and today she falls asleep in the loneliness of still being a child. Our people struggle, but there is always laughter. This is a gift that will never be taken away, nor will it ever change us. We even laugh at funerals, laughter covering the pain for yet another lost soul, gone too young and too tragically. The laughter is ours as we weep and ask why, again, as we bury our love, and all of us go home as a Sasquatch and a wolf and a bear, and a child who was put on a train, appear and sit around the fresh dirt. They do not cry, no, they laugh at it all. Thank you.
I'm going to go a little off script because I'm a rebel. And no, because I heard these sounds out there and they reminded me of something from my neighborhood. So I'm going to read sort of the poem this book is named after. It's called Shakes. The trailer park shakes when the trains go by. I can't tell yet if it's a comfort or a curse, but I always loved the sound of trains in the distance. You can hear every word of conversation going on next door, and the other neighbors don't like weed smoke. The heater grinds. It's so loud it could tear the roof off, but we've got a washer and dryer, so I don't have to go to the laundromat anymore. There's a skylight in the kitchen where the sunlight dances onto the floor and dazzles the kids who come over, and the stars twinkle in our eyes when the nights are clear. Our fence is broken pretty badly, same with the deck and the stairs, but the view from here is spectacular, the river and the mountains and the trains that shake the house. In the back is a mountainside, the desert type. Very sandy soil, though there are lots of pines up that way, a lot of sage too. My cat plays out there. He's quite the hunter, so we don't get a lot of mice in the house anymore. There's some garden beds out back too. Maybe we'll plant in the spring. My bedroom is quite big now. It's nice to have a big space to call your own. Usually I give the kids the biggest room to share, but not this time. I wonder if the kids know they're poor. I wonder if it has dawned on them just yet. I don't think it has. I don't think they know how close they live to ruin. I never did. That's what a good parent is, able to hide the worst of the situation and bring out the best. You don't have to be rich to have a good life, but it helps, I guess. I don't remember feeling poor, but I remember my dad working 3 jobs, and I remember the day I realized that even though I thought all it took was hard work to get ahead in life, it actually takes a garbage bag full of weed and a lot of clients after 20 years. You'll probably still be in the shit, but they don't tell you that. And it's hard to remember when you get older that no one ever really did it on the level anyway, that everything you thought you knew about how to be an effective adult is just misinformation. That is really just one fucked up situation to another in a never-ending loop. And that doesn't mean the world is out to get you. It just means that that's all the world has to offer at this time. Frankly, it's not surprising that no matter how steady I start to feel, the train still shakes the whole house. My dad used to tell me that the sound of trains would make him cry, but he didn't know why. Maybe intergenerational trauma got him the way it gets all us imperfect simpletons just trying to make it to the next payday. When the trailer park shakes, I wonder if my mother had a trailer that shook too. I wonder why we always ended up going full circle. I wonder how it is that no matter how hard we have worked, we never really make it. I wonder how at 14 she managed to raise a kid, how 11 months later she had 2 to take care of, how she stuck by this man who knocked up a child and had the audacity to call her wife. I wonder how she went to school and worked and fed us, and then I realize why I don't need to wonder why she fucked up so badly. None of us talk to her anymore, and one of us is already dead. My trailer isn't much, but it's these people who make it a home, because a house is just a box, kind of like a body is for the soul.
the stop would be higher. I heard waterfall, and so I chose a poem called Lookout. Your one-winged scapula, what does it mean? Look out, child. Clamber above the fill line of the world. If we're indeed part of a continent and not alone, where's everyone? Our vice of hands cannot hold counterclockwise flight is too confusing for radar. This carceral island will never keep us. On an arm-span altar below, I imbue the homespun stone with a blue animus, a fletched offering winding you up. Thanks.
I'm going to read two poems that kind of, in my head, they go together. They're not separate, so. Called Crow and Deer. Black feathers in the wind wave anarchy, then death. Friends gather and cry out, a tumultuous resting place on a back road center line. I pick that raven up. Its blood runs furrows in the creases of my skin, drips a dotted line to where X marks a final spot. No gravestone. Just a brown paper towel from my glove box to give closure to a murder of crows weeping at the crime scene. A Congress that bears witness to the killing, while I hope the neighbors don't see. Your eyes are black, not unlike my own, filled with transcendental dread and knowing all the horrors of this world before the blackness hit. I wonder if your tongue lolled out, but I missed it in my hurried passing. What is it like to see calamity coming? I don't want to die with my eyes open.
It's called The Sturgeon's Lover. In the deepest part of the river there lived a great sturgeon, and she swam along the bottom and fed upon the dead who had fallen. She was about 300 years old, and when she was full, she came to the surface and jumped as high as she could, and all the males came to her, and she kissed each male and let them have her. Months later, she quietly went to her favorite part of the river, and there she released her eggs in the millions, and then began again to swim the bottom and to search for any new bodies that had fallen from upriver, which she feasted upon with her old, softly kissed lips. The legend goes that a fisherman had fallen into the waters and was drowning, when the great sturgeon came to him and asked him for a kiss. He agreed, and the two fell in love, and together they would feed upon all the food at the bottom of the river. One day her eggs came to life and created the people across the water. The people lived there for centuries, and the sturgeon and man would visit from time to time, bringing them food to survive the cold, wet winters, until the people too walked into the water and fell to the bottom as the man kissed his lover. Today we do not fish for sturgeon, as their numbers have been decimated by overfishing and loss of spawning grounds. Whenever I catch a sturgeon in my net, I let her go, and she always turns back and smiles as she flicks her mighty tail and splashes me. My son always laughs as I stand there stunned and wet, while the great sturgeon slowly swims away and turns back to blow us a kiss. We both wipe our lips as the great sturgeon falls to the bottom of the water. There, waiting for her, is her lover. He kisses her one last time. She cries as she begins to eat him.
This is comfy. Down the corridor, a chair with wheels rolls. Rumble, rumble. What the what? What old personage reclines here, in a robe, gamely strewn with bold print pineapples? The lobe of this old one's ear is the most yeared, obvious, familiar thing I've ever gently touched in space-time. What do you love most? I blare, bent forward to discharge myself through major quakes and decades of mosquitoes in dissolved parliaments. Say it clear, so I will know you. Say it, old self. As for me, dear stranger, a white cat is my home thought. Now you have it, in a cloud forest. Round sums that are her sums float up. Her leisure had a bright green show, and she was there in that leisure. I enter my abridging years without her. Tell me, just as a century might claim a certain thinker, will I remain her thinker? E is a soft composite factor. E samewise has a porous look. E is not confounded with. E is dead. E is a dead factor. E, I call to E. E is running towards me. E does not change suddenly. We need gas laws to understand the language of the lung. E's lungs are talking. I am also talking. La, 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 perfusion. In attendance, E and lungs, myself and lungs. Set in the aught years of the century, now AWOL years mainly, ear furnishings of the protagonist cat, resplendent, etc., and so on. One can be a person inside other persons, made of previous hours, sounds, the smell of earth. A small life I am in rattles over a field of stalks. E and I were persons. A what? We were persons in the time, why not, of twist ties. We were persons in the time of easy metals. That's saying something. We were persons together. Take that. To be a person is to be elsewise, chaseable as noon, that is, a fleeing thing. Sounds are mortal, yes, no. Hours are mortal, and verbs. Certain verbs keep me from being cumulus. E is cumulus, incog in a thermal air mass. Her tenement did occur. What's more, time never did astonish her. She had such beauty guts. Me, I'm always in a human cupola. We were persons together. First person and first person, like filaments. Second person and second person, lit brass lamps. In the human time of tool and die prepackaged cakes, in whatever were her measurements. We sit down to study sunlight. Sunlight has apportioned itself in the equal dark to many present bits of nothing, now a glint, frank silver. Her white fur with no coloratura. The gene for that, meaning little no word thrown among many little no words. I have my hands to think with, making almost the motions of actual bread, moving as they did in aid of her, though years beneath the palms have since collected. Press your forehead to my forehead, older and older self. I'll show you a meaning with two animals inside it.
read a poem called Native Aunties. Everything smells of sage at your native auntie's place. Cat circles at your feet while she tells you stories of Sundance. Makes a feast of Katie and tomato soup so you get those veggies in. Shows you how to tie tobacco. Says you gotta buy it in a pouch now though, we all do. Just get it in a pouch. She tries to teach you how to bead, but at that age it doesn't stick. Later, you'll wish you'd listened to any damn thing. Spiders crawl at your native aunties, where it becomes painfully apparent you have not yet felt the song pour from your hands to douse a drum. Where the rattle lies still because there's no one to teach you how to shake it, even your auntie doesn't know that. You learn so much, but you know so little. Where the cedar hangs above every door, evergreen. Where the renovations are always half done. Where the carpet has spots that'll never come out. Where you learn you can curl your native hair with a lot of bobby pins, but it comes out kind of all crimpy with bumps. At your native auntie's, you might accidentally walk into the neighbor's house because the houses all look the same from the front. No one will say a word though. It's no big deal around here. You and your cousins stay up late, crouched under blankets on the floor, and the grown-ups cover your eyes when the movie gets too scary. And you steal from your older cousin, only to toss it back in her bag when she isn't looking. Where every piece of fabric smells like dust, and there are blankets everywhere, and towels are few and far between. But there's a mall by your native auntie's that seems so big, even though you know now what a dive it was. Antlers hang at your native auntie's. You can put damn near anything in that freezer. It always has enough room for a hunt. She'll show you pictures of the last moose they cleaned. She'll warn you it's gory. At your native auntie's, the backyard is small but full of toys for kids that are too young to be her own. She takes you to yard sales so she can fill her kitchen with kitsch. She somehow always manages to pull off. Everything is stacked against the walls at your native auntie's. There are books on top of books, but one thing about being at your native auntie's is it's always so comfortable, no matter how full or cramped or cluttered. And she makes sure your white auntie, she sure makes your white auntie seem like a sterile bitch. Your native auntie is always ready to tell you to leave that boy or the next. She ain't playing with these men. She owns all her own shit. No matter how bad it gets for your native auntie, she's strong. She holds her head up and can face her kids knowing she never had a moment of anger for them. Not once. Your auntie teaches you the protocols for elders and moon time. Your auntie shows you how to smudge without saying a word. Your auntie lays a feast out for the dead we miss, cuts hair when we mourn. Your auntie paints polar bears and loons in acrylic on canvas. She sees it all different. Your native auntie carries the teachings for the whole family, all the kids who don't care yet, but will.
Dues in arrears. In fact, we're compulsory members of the People's Orchestra. We've not been asked. In the den, there's a face we survey. The face is a vagary world, and we play like really good amateurs. So and so many corn kernels later, considerable quotidian bus stops. In particular, on meeting a snail or any mollusk, we think of all snails and mollusks everywhere, trapped in time, just as we are. In space, we picture the space dog strapped in a dog-shaped hold. We have fashioned from metal a long-distance ship installed with a dog heart hammering madly. We'll prove it. There's nowhere animal panic won't go. In situ, the hall itself is tardy. Its floor is thereupon. It's possible to stride, almost with a mauve aplomb, across the wooden tiles, this day a chipped history of falling backwards off the roof, to surf in rustling material across the flesh canopy right to the water's edge in a different country. Though the water is not water, it is pain, washing round in a high-def, fluid galaxy.
It's called The Shame of Man. He is buried somewhere in a prison of fools. He gets his meals and a good night's sleep, but he will be gone forever, and most of us do not care one way or the other. But for our people, we're the ones who paid the price, as our mothers and sisters disappeared on his pig farm, a few miles upriver from where he had taken them. Now they are just a memory, but we never forget, as we never forget. On any given night, they say he would hunt like all predators downtown, and he'd have his pick of the already lost and forgotten. He would pick his target and bring her back to the farm, where he would keep her for a few days, feeding her drugs. Once the desire was too overwhelming, he would attack and explode with his inner demons. He would choose life or death, and in our case, it was always death. With the plunge of the knife or the cold grasp of his filthy hands, he would end them and bury them in the back. As the new day began, the pigs of the world would feast. If I could change time, I would wait for the stinking pickup and that little man in his big boots to appear. I would follow him as he picked up my sister. I would follow him, and when he got home upriver, I would hop the fence and I would get to him before he could do her any harm. And I would plunge a cold blade into his eye, or I would wrap my hands around his neck and watch him slip away, and then I would bury him in the back. My sister and I would return to the city to await the next predator, and we would do the same. But that never happened. And we still search and search for our sisters as they disappear. And all I can do is stare at my hands as they strangle an imaginary evil, who still to this day has a nice bed, a good meal, a lifetime of knowing he was more than a pig farmer. Thank you.
Thanks, Justine, for the idea that I could read 2 poems instead of 1. The reason I say that is I know. In this case, though, they're sibling poems. They just they're one after the other. The second one makes some reference to suicidal ideation, so you're aware. It's called Grove. In black light, the forest is an eye-white, fishbone grave. We are bleached and all pupil in its dark, and the curtains of the world do not hush the dial-tone traffic. In black light, I asked for a diviner, and one asked why I was sad. I was when I looked. You're molten, said another, and I did when I looked. She says, don't forget to breathe. I grunt through the bull run of my inner ribs, my lungs a muslin sheath of drum, stagger off the panic bus, pulled over, my night a drunk tank. Here before my pill, the fleet of plungers in my brain ready to sail. Do we need a prayer or the like for this launch? I've read the warnings. This sertraline can reach and slash your wrists, but my dark foil is only a suicide note if it succeeds. Stop when you find yourself baying at the moon. This elixir demands scrapings from a sundial's millennial face, from the skid marks of its hours. Autonomy texts show my skull sliced open after for ventilation. The brain has no nerves of its own, so I feel none of the disrobed ants, their clothes crackling with light. They wear only boots of dry ice and pneumatic drills. Their mother is a wedding of depth gauges, diviner, a wrecking ball of lie detector eyes and jawbones. I want her to reveal the secret of blood, how saplings question mark the morning above ground, she says.
Hey.
Thank you, everyone. Beth and I have decided that we will end here. We were just going to walk a bit further to another field, but this is a beautiful spot to end as well under these trees. So I just want to thank the poets, Joseph, Justene, Anne-Marie and Tolu, and also Beth Kope, who instigated or initiated this event 5 years ago through a conversation with me. So thank you, Beth, for your vision. Thank you to this wonderful audience for your attentive listening and wonderful conversations and just being here with all of us. So thank you. Clap for yourselves. What else do I need to say? Thanks to the festival board and producer Laura Trunke and all of our sponsors. And thank you also to Mary Lake, just for existing and being here for nature, and Koinonia, the producer or the protector of Mary Lake. And final thanks go to Monroe's Books. Monroe's Books and Jessica are waiting at the Nature House to sell books. And also we have tea and cookies there and time to just kind of relax and chat. And the Nature House sits overlooking Mary Lake, so have a moment with the lake as well. Thank you all so much, and thank you to our camera crew as well. Thank you.